My dad found out I'm not his daughter. Because of a DNA test, face screaming in fear, what was meant to be a simple DNA test turned into a nightmare that tore my family apart forever. I always thought my family was ordinary. Messy, loud, full of small fights that never really meant anything. My parents argued about bills, my younger sister stole my clothes, and my older brother always managed to avoid chores. But underneath it all, there was love. Or at least, I believe there was. It all started with what seemed like a harmless Christmas gift. My aunt had gotten everyone in the family one of those at-home DNA test kits. "It'll be fun," she said. "You can learn about your ancestry, maybe find out if we've got royalty in our bloodlines." At first, we all laughed. My mom joked that we'd probably discover we were descended from pirates. My dad rolled his eyes, but he still spit into the tube and sent it off with the rest of us. None of us thought it would matter. Weeks later, the results came in. My sister was the first to check hers. She posted her ancestry pie chart on Instagram like it was a horoscope. My brother teased her for getting excited about being 2% Scandinavian. We all joked around until I checked mine. And that's when everything started to unravel. The first thing I noticed was that my results didn't match my siblings. Their charts had overlaps, shared ancestry, shared regions, the kind of stuff you'd expect. But mine was different. Entirely different. The app even suggested that I had no genetic relation to my supposed siblings. I laughed at first, thinking it was a glitch. I refreshed the app, logged out, logged back in. Still the same. I called my sister over. "Hey, does this look right to you?" Her smile faded as she read the words on my screen. "No matches found among immediate family." When my parents saw it, the room went silent. My dad's face drained of color. My mom's hands trembled as she reached for the phone, muttering about errors and mislabeling. But I knew. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this wasn't just a mistake. That night, the house felt like it was holding its breath. My parents barely spoke to each other. I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Was I adopted? Was there some secret no one had ever told me? The next morning, I confronted my mom in the kitchen. Her eyes were red, as if she hadn't slept either. "Mom," I said quietly, "what's going on? Why am I not matching with anyone?" She froze. For a long moment, she didn't answer. Then, with a shaky voice, she said, Because your father isn't your father." The words hit me like a physical blow. My knees felt weak. I gripped the counter to keep myself steady. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all I could manage was a whisper. "What do you mean?" Her face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It was a mistake. A long time ago, before we were married, I was with someone else. And I thought it didn't matter. I thought you were his. I never wanted you to find out like this." I stumbled backward, heart hammering in my chest. The walls seemed to close in around me. My entire life, my identity, my family, everything I thought I knew, suddenly felt like a lie. And the worst part? I couldn't even bring myself to look at my dad. Because he was sitting at the table, silent, broken, staring at me like I was a stranger. The father's silence grows heavier, hinting at deeper secrets yet to come. The silence in the kitchen was suffocating. My mom sobbing quietly, my dad sitting frozen at the table, and me, caught in the middle of a truth I never asked for. Finally, my dad spoke. His voice was low, but it carried the weight of something breaking. "So you lied to me. For over 20 years. You let me raise a child that wasn't mine." His words cut sharper than any knife. My chest ached, not just from what he said, but from how he looked at me. Like I wasn't his daughter anymore, like I'd suddenly become an outsider in my own home. "I never wanted this," my mom cried, reaching for him. "It was one mistake. I thought it didn't matter. You loved her like your own." But he pulled his arm away, his eyes never leaving me. "I did love her, but it wasn't my choice to raise another man's child. You made that choice for me." I wanted to scream that I was still me, that nothing had changed. But deep down, I knew everything had changed. My DNA had rewritten the entire script of my life in a single night. My siblings didn't take it well either. My sister, Emma, stared at me like I was some stranger who had broken into her family. "So you're not really my sister?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I am your sister," I said desperately. "I've always been your sister." But she shook her head. "Not by blood. Not like we thought. It's different now." My brother was quieter, but his silence was worse. He didn't say a word, just avoided looking at me at all. That silence screamed rejection louder than anything Emma had said. For the first time in my life, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Over the next few days, the tension in the house thickened. My dad started sleeping in the guest room. My mom walked around like a ghost. My siblings barely spoke to me. And I started Googling the man who might be my biological father. It didn't take long. My mom had given me his name, reluctantly, after I demanded it through tears and shouting. Michael Carter, a man she had dated briefly before marrying my dad. He lived just 2 towns over. Married, with kids. A whole other family. I stared at his Facebook profile for hours, clicking through pictures. He looked nothing like the man I had called Dad my whole life. But there was something in the shape of his eyes, the curve of his smile, that felt eerily familiar. Part of me wanted to reach out, to message him, to ask if he knew about me. But another part of me was terrified. What if he rejected me too? What if I ruined his family the same way I had ruined mine? Meanwhile, things at home only got worse. My dad stopped speaking to my mom entirely, except for short, clipped words about bills or groceries. When he looked at me, his face hardened. The love that once lived in his eyes was gone. One night, I overheard him on the phone with a lawyer. My heart sank as I realized what it meant. He was preparing for divorce. And I couldn't shake the guilt that I was the reason. If I hadn't taken that stupid DNA test, if I hadn't opened Pandora's box, maybe my family would still be intact. Maybe my dad would still love me. But it was too late. The breaking point came one Sunday afternoon. We were all sitting at the table, the silence unbearable, when my dad suddenly slammed his fist against the wood. The plates rattled, and we all jumped. "I can't do this anymore," he shouted. His face was red, his eyes blazing with fury. "I can't sit here and pretend this is normal. My whole life has been a lie." My mom sobbed into her hands. Emma cried quietly. My brother stormed out of the room. And me? I sat there frozen, my heart pounding, knowing my family was crumbling right before my eyes. But then, my dad turned to me. And what he said next shattered me completely. The father's next words will change everything for the protagonist, forever. My dad's voice was sharp, like shattered glass cutting through the silence. "I don't want you here anymore." For a second, I couldn't process it. His words hung in the air, heavy and final. My heart stopped. What do you mean?" I whispered. He leaned forward, his eyes cold. "You're not my daughter. You never were. I can't look at you without seeing her betrayal. So yes, I want you out." It felt like the floor had been ripped from beneath me. This was the man who had taught me to ride a bike, who had held my hand on the first day of school, who had cheered at my graduation. And now he was discarding me like I was nothing. "Dad, please," I begged, tears blurring my vision. "I'm still me. I'm still your little girl." But he shook his head, his jaw tight. "No, you're her mistake, not mine." My mom tried to intervene, her voice trembling. "Don't do this. Please, she's innocent in all of this." But he snapped at her. "Innocent? Do you think it feels that way? Every time I look at her, I see the man you cheated with. The life you stole from me." The words were like daggers, and I couldn't take it anymore. I ran upstairs, locked myself in my room, and cried until my chest ached. I'd never felt so unwanted, so utterly broken. Within a week, the divorce papers were filed. My dad moved out, and the house that once felt chaotic but safe now felt like a hollow shell. My siblings grew distant. Emma barely spoke to me, blaming me in her own quiet way for tearing the family apart. My brother refused to even make eye contact. I felt invisible, like I didn't exist anymore. That's when I made a choice. If my family didn't want me, maybe my real father would. With trembling hands, I sent a message to Michael Carter, the man my mom said was my biological father. Just a simple line. "Hi, I think you might be my dad. Can we talk?" Hours felt like days as I waited for a reply. When my phone finally buzzed, my heart nearly exploded. His message was short. "Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the coffee shop on Main Street." The next day, I walked into that coffee shop shaking from head to toe. And there he was, Michael, older than the pictures I had seen, his hair touched with gray, but undeniably familiar. His eyes were my eyes, his smile my smile. When he saw me, he froze. The coffee cup in his hand trembled. Slowly, he stood, staring at me like he was looking at a ghost. "I knew this day would come," he said quietly. My breath caught. "So, you knew about me?" He nodded, shame flickering in his eyes. "Your mother told me years ago, but she said you were better off with him, with the man you called Dad. And I convinced myself it was true. I stayed away. Anger and relief tangled in my chest. So all this time you knew, and you just let me live a lie. Tears welled in his eyes. I thought I was protecting you, protecting everyone. But now, I see I was just protecting myself. I didn't know whether to hug him or scream at him. Part of me wanted to collapse into his arms, to feel the fatherly love I'd lost. Another part of me hated him for abandoning me before I even knew him. We sat for hours, talking about his life, about mine, about the years we'd both lost. He wanted to know everything. My favorite color, my childhood memories, the little details a father should already know. And though it was awkward, there was something undeniable there. A connection. But when I left that coffee shop, I realized something important. Finding my biological father didn't fix the damage. My family was still broken. My mom was drowning in guilt. My siblings looked at me like a stranger. And the man who had raised me, who had been my real dad in every way but blood, was gone. DNA had rewritten my story, but it hadn't given me the happy ending I wanted. Instead, it had left me standing at a crossroads. One family shattered, another family I barely knew waiting for me to step in. And me? I was left asking a question I didn't know how to answer. Who am I, if not my father's daughter? High voltage ending note. The test didn't just destroy her family. It forced her to question her identity, her relationships, and the meaning of family itself.